is your overnight wrap. And, of course, let's get you some insight as police and intelligence agencies in the United States and Colombia are now investigating links to the assassination of Haitian President Jovenel Moise after arrest of their nationals by Haitian authorities. The alleged assassins were taken into custody on Wednesday, less than 24 hours after the president was killed in a gun attack at his home. Colombia received an official request on Thursday from the Interpol for information about the suspected perpetrators. The assassination has left the Caribbean nation embroiled in a power struggle as rival politicians jockey to fill the political vacuum. To bring us up to speed with the latest developments on the story, we're joined by Pina from the Haiti Information Project. Kevin, very good morning to you. Welcome to Newzroom Afrika. Of course, it's essentially a killing that has left the Caribbean nation shaken. Let's talk now about the latest developments. We know that police investigations are underway. What's happening as we speak, looking at this investigation?
Well, as you've heard, the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security are going to be dispatched to Haiti. But more importantly, you must know that this is a power struggle in Haiti. And it is a power struggle of the political party that was put in place much due to the coup d'etat of 2004. Michel Martelly's PHTK party, which is the ruling party in Haiti, came to power after a direct intervention of then Secretary of State Hillary Rodham Clinton in the elections and the way in which the ballots were counted. Jovenel Moise is his successor, the assassinated president of Haiti. Of course, you know, I lived in the neighborhood where the president was assassinated when I was in Haiti as a journalist, a human rights journalist. So I know it very well and intimately. And it would be very difficult for a convoy of 5 vehicles with heavily armed men to get in that neighborhood at all. It is a single road, narrow road, up to the road of the residence. There are usually police at the bottom of the hill and the top of the hill who survey any traffic that would come into the area. Apparently, there was a call that went to the police headquarters when these gentlemen arrived with 5 cars full of guns and claimed to be with the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Agency of the United States. Apparently, a call went to the office of the Chief of Police, Leon Charles, and they were told to let them through. There are many questions that the Chief of Police will have to answer to in this incident and in the assassination access that these men had in performing the assassination of the president. Now, you've got to remember, again, I'll just say, this is a power struggle between 2 wings of the corrupt ruling party in Haiti. One wing is the Martelly wing, which is the traditional neo-Duvalierist wing, which Jovenel Moise represented. They were no longer tenable in the next elections, which, of course, opened the door yet again for potential reemergence of Jean-Bertrand Aristide's Famille Lavalas party. It's very interesting to note that the very day that Ariel Henry, who was the hand-picked new prime minister of Jovenel Moise, the very day he was to be installed and sworn in as prime minister was the very day that Jovenel Moise was murdered in his residence. What that brought was the ultra-right of the party, known as the GNB, the Green Lambunda, represented by Claude Joseph, who has now declared himself the interim president and was anointed, if you will, by the international community, by the so-called core group of concerned friends and concerned nations of Haiti, the United States, Canada, and France, and the United Nations, anointed him and said, yes, indeed, they would accept his legitimacy of self-declaration of interim president and that he was to lead Haiti to new elections within the next 3 months. So one part of the party no longer viable for elections, a new appointed prime minister that Jovenel Moise apparently was going to invite a new consensus government through that prime minister, killed the very day that prime minister was to be installed. The prime minister that was sitting then claims the interim presidency, and now we have a strike, if you will, a reaction now of the Martelly wing of the PHTK, who today, in the form of the former president of the Senate, has now declared himself interim president. And so now Haiti has two interim presidents, one agreed upon by the international community, and a second that is contesting his validity. Now, the most interesting news this afternoon, of course, was that Claude Joseph, who declared himself the interim president, requested that the United States land troops in Haiti to assist secure the country against violence. As far as we know, the Biden administration has officially declined that offer. However, we have learned through our sources in the Dominican Republic that a warship called the USS Billings with a full contingent of U.S. Marines has possibly already landed in Port-au-Prince. And we received footage yesterday from one of our confidential sources on the tarmac of Toussaint Louverture International Airport, which showed clearly two C-20 U.S. military personnel planes unloading what appeared to be special forces troops onto the tarmac. So
Kevin, speaking about special forces, the understanding is that retired members of Colombia's army are suspected of having participated in the assassination. What do we know about the strength and the muscle of the Colombian army?
Well, there's terrible confusion around that now. We are hearing reports that the president's wife, Martine Moise, has regained consciousness. You know, she was also shot and wounded in the attack. And that apparently she is claiming that the Colombians took her to the hospital. And that, in fact, they came and tried to protect her and her daughter. And that she is claiming also that the assailants were Haitian. And now the Colombians are responding, who are in jail, are saying that they were set up. So we have a very confusing situation of dueling narratives, and nobody's quite clear exactly where the truth lies, save for the fact that the president was killed, that there was a battle among his own party over the leadership of the party. The United States has anointed Claude Joseph of the ultra-right part of the party to oversee the next elections, and that Henri, the hand-picked successor of Claude Joseph, has been sidelined thus far.
You speak about the power struggle, and of course the power struggle. Let's talk a little bit about leading up to the assassination. What was happening on the ground? Because we know that for months before the president's assassination, Haitian protesters had been demanding his resignation.
Well, and not just his resignation. That's anger at the entire PHTK party and the squandering of billions of dollars from earthquake relief, billions of dollars from Venezuela's Petrocaribe program that was intended to build hospitals, infrastructure, sewage systems, direly needed by the population of 12 million people who, when it rains, garbage floods. It's an awful condition and situation, and that money could have easily set Haiti onto a new path of development. It's not a poor country. People keep calling it a poor country. It is rich with iridium. It is rich with gold. It's just unfortunate that the wealthy elite of that country, the oligarchy and the government, have sold the contracts and have worked with foreign organizations and companies to sell the rights to mineral wealth for penny on the dollars. And the population is held in virtual captivity and poverty as one of the poorest labor forces in the hemisphere. Absolutely tremendous protests in the streets, almost monthly, certainly weekly at certain periods. Overall, generally, the population very unhappy with the PHTK ruling party over the last 10 years. But let's not forget again that this is the direct result of foreign intervention in 2004. Certainly, former President Thabo Mbeki had it right, and the Organization of African Unity had it right when they did not recognize the coup against President Jean-Bertrand Aristide. President Jacob Zuma had it right when he would not listen to Obama and he allowed Aristide to return to Haiti from exile. South Africa has been very consistent, and the ANC have been very consistent in their principled position of self-determination for Haiti. But really, when the United Nations came in a Chapter 7 military intervention, they promised to reform the police. The police are the largest drug dealers, gun runners, and gang runners today in Haiti. What happened to your promise to reform Haiti's police? They promised to reform the judiciary. The court system is in virtual disarray. We have prisoners in Haiti, over 80% of them, who have been in prison for more than 3 years, imagine, without ever seeing a judge or charged with a crime, living in the most torturous, inhumane, intolerable situations, rotting away in Haitian prisons. They promised to reform the judiciary. What happened, United Nations? What happened, United States, to your great promise to rebuild Haiti in your image after you destroyed a democratically elected sovereign government? And remember, it wasn't just Aristide that they overthrew. It was more than 7,500 elected officials at the national and local level in Haiti that they threw out overnight with the support of the United States, Canada, and France.
Very well. Thank you so much for that thorough breakdown. Of course, Kevin Pina from the Haiti Information Project, bringing us up to speed with some of the latest developments there. When it comes to the Haitian president assassination, the developments building up to what transpired before the assassination, and of course looking at how far the case is moving, with authorities, police and intelligence agencies moving in to find the culprits of this crime.